In this paper, I've set out to discuss the interesting part of the way water works within our society. Within our society, we have discussed that several different mechanisms work for the creation of water production. Within water production and the filtering of water is how we filter water within our society. Certain societies have made it their goal to make sure that all the water that we produce is either in a certain area or that it is treated a certain way. In this paper, I would discuss specifically how Kansas, Netherlands, and South Africa have done this well, and also where they have fallen short. In the state of Kansas, water is especially essential for preservation because it is a major part of the economy. In Kansas, about 3 million of the state's acres are used for water irrigation crops. The most pertinent crops of the area include corn, alfalfa, sorghum, soybeans, and wheat. For this reason, the state requires that all water use to be presented as water use within their records once it is considered surface water or groundwater that has been used for something else other than its natural purpose. The state of Kansas keeps track of their water use carefully by noting increases and decreases in water use from year to year. More importantly, between 1991 and 2011, they had several different years of noticeable amounts. In the graph shown in this picture, you can see that the irrigation is very, very important to Kansas, but also that the irrigation levels for water crops are also dependent on how much it rains within that given year. In the Netherlands, researchers have come to the conclusion in order for human life to be prevailing and successful, water management is much needed. The water management policymakers of the Netherlands decided to attempt to foresee future water issues by closely watching trends over time. Specifically, they have closely studied river deltas in the Netherlands in order to best conserve water for proper use. The research has given them scenarios within their country, and they have studied impacts in the effectiveness of these policies outside of their country. River deltas are ever changing, however, so to combat these problems, researchers have created experiments to analyze the effectiveness of their methods. For example, according to this graph, they are charting the effectiveness of rising sea levels, temperature changes, and precipitation changes, and how they affect the experiments that they are completing. Furthermore, researchers have concluded that in order for water management to be effective, water management specialists and policymakers need to understand limitations of their policies and algorithms within the Netherlands. Every country is different. Researchers believe that most importantly, policymakers and water conservation specialists need to work together instead of working against each other to understand the trigger for water shortages so that we can better prepare in the future for the problems that we might incur. In the most important part of my research within South Africa, I understood they came up with the National Water Act, which was created to make sure that the distribution of water around the country was distributed fairly. The National Water Act provided stricter rules about the environmental practices with regards to water management. Furthermore, written in the bylaws of the Act is representing interests of all water users. That is important because a lot of people in that country are not getting fair water amounts or the quality of water that they deserve. Meaning that some places are getting better water quality for no reason. This act is supposed to stop that issue and make sure that all people within a certain given area are given the right amount of water and the water that is cleanest and most available to them. Some people don't understand why there is a connection between all of these three countries. I picked these three countries because when I was doing research, I found that during the 90s and the early 2000s, these countries had specific issues with water conservation and water preservation, and they were all working towards a common goal of having better water usage, better water conservation, and being more sustainable in their water use. So these countries have a connection in that sense, but also in the sense that they're all working towards a common goal of saving water, and they're all trying different implementations of ways to find the best way to implement a new system of water.